You're listening to Radio Long Island City, recorded at our studios near Hell Gate, 9 kilometers north of the Harbor Hill Moraine. And now, the Observatory. The Observatory, Tuesday the 3rd of February, 2026. It is 44 days after the winter solstice. It is 45 days before the spring equinox. The sun rises today at 7:04 a.m. Solar noon takes place today at 12:10 p.m. The sun sets today at 5:16 p.m., civil twilight ends at 5:45 p.m., and nautical twilight ends at 6:17 p.m. The length of daytime today is 2 minutes, 14 seconds longer than yesterday. The moon is in its waning gibbous phase and is 96% full at midday. The moon sets today at 8:04 a.m., and then it rises again at 7:29 p.m. The third quarter will arrive on Monday, the 9th of February. These are the predicted tides today for Horns Hook. In the early morning, low tide, 4:46 a.m., minus 12 centimeters. In the late morning, high tide, 11:14 a.m., 1 meter 52. In the evening, low tide, 5:18 p.m., minus 21 centimeters. Near midnight, high tide, 11:46 p.m., 1 meter 46. In our shared realm of plants and animals, the rhododendrons that are so commonly planted as ornamental shrubs in the neighborhood have experienced quite a change with the arrival of the Arctic air. Their evergreen leaves quite suddenly drooped and are pointing straight downwards, while still firmly attached to their branches. In addition, they've curled up like long green cigars. It seems that this may be due to two effects. One is that during the warmer months they are used to living in dappled shade. But with the over-canopy gone, they can be damaged by the suddenly stronger sunlight. The other factor is the sub-freezing temperatures. The stout waxy leaves freeze through below 17 degrees Fahrenheit. By curling up, they can delay a rapid thaw that could damage them. So though they may look very sad right now, they are simply taking steps to handle the deep winter cold. Commemorations. On this day in 1959, a small plane carrying the musicians Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and J.P. Richardson, known as the Big Bopper, crashed in Clear Lake, Iowa. Holly and his crew were on their winter dance party tour across the American Midwest. The tour buses they were using were cold and uncomfortable, so they hired a small Beechcraft Bonanza light plane to carry them to their next venue in Moorhead, Minnesota. The pilot lost control of the plane in poor conditions, and all aboard were killed. It is known as the day the music died. On this day in 1971, New York City police officer Frank Serpico was shot during a drug bust in Brooklyn. On joining the force, he had discovered widespread corruption and payoffs to crooked cops. He spoke up, and was probably set up by his fellow police officers. He survived the shooting, and his story formed the basis of the 1973 movie that made it a cause célèbre. On this day in 1876, Albert Goodwill Spaulding formed the athletics company that bears his name with an initial investment of just $800. Spaulding had begun his career as a leading baseball player just a few years earlier, and would be instrumental in setting up baseball's National League. A.G. Spaulding and Brothers would manufacture the first official baseball, tennis ball, golf ball, and football. It helped develop the brand new basketball and the volleyball. Today we remember Gertrude Stein, born this day in 1874. The American writer lived in France much of her adult life, with her life partner, Alice B. Toklas. From 1903 until 1938, she lived at 27 Rue de Fleurus in Paris. The weekly salon she hosted there was a gathering place for avant-garde artists and writers, both French and from the expatriate communities. In 1933, she wrote a memoir of sorts, cheekily titled The Autobiography of Alice B. Toklas. Of course, she wrote it herself, and it became a best-selling book. Ironically, the French avant-garde painters who refused realistic representation in their paintings objected to the way the book played loose with facts and denounced it for not being perfectly true to life. What's good for the goose, eh? And that is the Observatory, Tuesday the 3rd of February, 2026.